Welcome, this is a megamix of the first 10 shorts that I've made. I hope you enjoy.
Emma scrolled through old photos on her phone. She came across a series of pictures taken during a weekend in the woods. As she swiped through, a chill ran down her spine. In one of the photos, a shadowy figure lurked in the background, its face obscured. Emma's heart raced as she tried to make out any details, but the figure remained indistinct, yet unmistakably present. She dismissed it and continued scrolling, but in every photo, the figure seemed to draw closer, always at the edge of the frame. Unease settled in as Emma realized the figure was not in any other photos. She glanced up from her phone, half expecting to see the same shadow looming in the corners of her room. The candle flickered again. Just then, a message notification pinged on her phone, startling her. It was a new photo of her, taken from behind, illuminated by the candlelight. The caption read, "Found you."
In the old house at the end of the lane, they said a shadow lurked. People whispered of a presence, unseen but felt. A chill that crept through your bones when night fell. Those brave enough to investigate found rooms cloaked in dust and echoes of distant whispers. One stormy night, a child wandered in, drawn by curiosity. Lightning illuminated the hallway, revealing figures in the mirrors that weren't there. A door creaked open on its own, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. The child hesitated, then descended. They never returned. Now the house stands silent, waiting for its next visitor.
In the old farmhouse at the edge of town, Sarah found an antique mirror covered in dust, and that night, strange things began to happen. Whispers echoed and shadows moved in the corners of her vision. Each night, Sarah saw a figure in the mirror that wasn't her, a girl with hollow eyes, beckoning her closer. Terrified, Sarah tried to ignore it, but the presence grew stronger. One evening, Sarah saw the girl standing beside her, dripping wet and pale as death. The next morning, Sarah woke up with scratches on her arms. Determined to rid herself of this haunting, she smashed the mirror into pieces. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed her everywhere, growing louder each night, until Sarah couldn't take it anymore. One moonless night, they found Sarah in the attic, sitting in front of a shattered mirror, muttering to herself. They say she went mad.
An unseen terror haunted the villagers. They spoke of a creature born of nightmares, its name unspoken, for fear of it. Legends told of lost souls who ventured too deep, never to return, swallowed by darkness. One night, young Emma and her friends explored the forbidden woods. They entered the eerie realm where trees loomed like specters and shadows danced with malevolence. The air turned cold as they stumbled upon a clearing, a place of ancient stones and a stench that choked their courage. Then, from the depths of the gnarled trees emerged a shapeless horror, its form shifting and unfathomable. Eyes wide with terror, Emma's friends froze. The creature took her into its grasp. In seconds it consumed her, a scream echoing through the night as her friends fled in terror. They emerged from the woods, breathless and pale, vowing never to speak of what they saw. But the woods held their secret, the monster's hunger stirring with each passing night. At dusk, Emily noticed her dog, Max, barking at the woods behind her house. Curious, she peered into the thickening shadows. The trees whispered secrets she couldn't quite understand. A low growl came from the darkness, and Max whimpered, pulling away. Emily turned and ran back inside. Her gaze was drawn to a pair of glowing yellow eyes watching her from between the trees. They blinked slowly, like a predator sizing up its prey. The eyes raised up much taller than Emily. She turned on her porch light, but the eyes vanished instantly. She didn't sleep that night, and the next morning Max was gone, and all that was found was his bloody collar. The woods were quiet, but Emily could still feel those eyes on her, even in the daylight. She couldn't fight the feeling that her fate was going to be the same as her dog's.
As dawn broke, Emily hiked through the dense forest, the path barely visible in the fog. A chill made her shiver as she noticed a large, dark shape moving between the trees. She dismissed it as a trick of the light. Hours later, the shape was still there, always just beyond the trees, watching. It resembled a deer, but had twisted, unnatural antlers and glowing red eyes. The forest fell eerily silent. Emily quickened her pace, but the creature matched her stride, its breath cold. She stumbled, her flashlight flickering, The shadow loomed closer, its antlers stretching toward her. With a sudden burst of cold air, the creature lunged. Emily's scream was abruptly silenced as the knot deer's eyes glowed brighter, swallowing her into the darkness. The forest returned to its watchful, silent state.
Mark's flashlight wavered as he explored the decrepit mental hospital, its halls thick with decay and forgotten screams. The air was cold and still. He turned a corner into a room lined with rusted restraints and blood-stained tiles. A sudden, chilling draft made him shiver. His flashlight flickered, revealing a row of old, padded cells. One door creaked open by itself. Hesitant, Mark approached and peered inside. His own face stared back from a cracked mirror, only it wasn't quite right. His reflection grinned, eyes wide with terror, and began to pound against the glass. Mark spun around, but the world had shifted. The door slammed shut. The restraints on the walls rattled violently. Desperate, he tried to pry open the door, but it wouldn't budge. The mirror's reflection now showed him trapped in the cell, the grinning face reaching through. Mark's flashlight died, plunging him into darkness. The last sound he heard was his own scream. Eli, an ambitious hacker, stumbled upon a high-security profile marked classified. Unable to resist, he breached the system, uncovering disturbing files, names, locations, and pictures of people who were missing. His excitement quickly turned to dread when he noticed his own name among the entries. The notification screen flickered and a chilling message appeared. You shouldn't have looked. Eli's room grew icy. His phone buzzed with a new message, a photo of himself taken from inside his apartment. He whirled around, but the room was empty. The lights went out. Eli's heartbeat raced as he heard faint footsteps approaching. His screen crackled with static, then displayed a live feed of his darkened room with shadowy figures slowly closing in on him. A cold hand gripped his shoulder. Eli's scream echoed through the empty apartment, swallowed by the darkness.
Emily's apartment was quiet, save for the hum of her old refrigerator. She was curled up on the couch, engrossed in a book, when she heard a faint sound, a creak from the front door. She frowned, certain she'd locked it. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She stood up slowly, her heart pounding. The living room light flickered. The creaking grew louder, closer. Trembling, Emily edged toward the door and saw the lock turning by itself. In a flash, the door swung open. A shadowy figure stood in the frame, eyes gleaming in the dim light. She barely had time to scream before the intruder was upon her. A voice whispered in her ear, "I knew you'd be here alone." The lights went out.
In the quiet suburbs, the Martin family's house was haunted by an unusual presence. A man named Lucas had secretly moved into their attic. He had lived there for months, emerging only when they were away. When the Martins left for work and school, Lucas would descend, feasting on their food and making himself at home. He'd savor their leftovers, make himself coffee, and even watch their TV, leaving everything just as he found it. The Martins began to notice strange occurrences: food disappearing, the fridge door left open, and a faint, unfamiliar smell. They couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Little did they know, Lucas was savoring their lives from the shadows, living in their home without a hint of their awareness. To him, he was a hidden member of the family. He stayed there till one day Joe Martin came home a little early and found him in the living room and attacked. Lucas fled feeling like he had lost his family over again.
I hope you enjoyed these shorts. If you stuck around to the end, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much. And remember, don't shoot the messenger.